Who will be the next historical figure whose tomb might be discovered? Or will these 9 mysteries continue to captivate our imagination, reminding us that even in our age of advanced technology, some secrets of the past remain stubbornly hidden? Number 9. Alexander the Great. Where did one of history's greatest conquerors end up? Alexander the Great, who built an empire stretching from Greece to India, died in Babylon at just 32 years old in 323 BCE. What happened next is where the mystery begins. After his death, Alexander's body was supposedly preserved in honey and placed in a gold coffin. His trusted general Ptolemy hijacked the funeral procession and took the body to Egypt. For centuries, Alexander's tomb in Alexandria became a major tourist attraction, visited by famous Romans including Julius Caesar and Augustus. But then the tomb vanished. By the 4th century CE, all traces of Alexander's final resting place had disappeared. Some theories suggest his tomb was destroyed during riots, while others believe it might have been relocated to a secret location. In 2019, archaeologists thought they'd found a massive marble tomb in Alexandria that could be Alexander's, but no conclusive evidence has emerged. The strangest theory. Some believe his body was secretly taken back to his homeland in Macedonia, while others suggest his remains might lie beneath modern Alexandria, hidden by centuries of urban development. Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass has been searching for years, confident the tomb remains somewhere in Egypt's desert. Yet despite numerous expeditions and tantalizing clues, Alexander the Great's final resting place remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries. Number 8. Genghis Khan. Ever wonder what happened to the body of the man who conquered most of the known world? Genghis Khan's burial is possibly the most deliberately concealed in history. When the Mongol leader died in 1227, his funeral procession reportedly killed everyone they encountered to keep the burial location secret. According to legend, his followers diverted a river over his grave after the burial, then trampled the ground with 10,000 horses to erase all traces. Some accounts claim the soldiers who knew the location were themselves killed upon returning to camp. For centuries, archaeologists have searched Mongolia's sacred Burkhan Khaldun mountain, where Khan is believed to be buried. Modern expeditions using ground-penetrating radar and satellite imagery have identified potential sites, but Mongolian authorities have restricted excavations, considering the area sacred ground. One American Mongolian expedition in 2001 discovered over 60 tombs from the Mongol era, yet none contained the Great Khan. Some researchers believe he might be buried with a massive treasure hoard, while others think his remains might have been destroyed completely as part of Mongol funeral traditions. The Mongolian government now actively protects potential burial areas from investigation, respecting cultural traditions that consider disturbing his rest a terrible omen. Despite all our modern technology, the final resting place of the man who created the largest contiguous land empire in history remains hidden somewhere in the vast Mongolian steppe, exactly as his followers intended. Number 7. Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Where do ancient Egypt's most famous lovers lie? The dramatic end of Cleopatra and Mark Antony's lives is well documented, his suicide by sword after hearing false news of her death, followed by her own death by snake venom. But what happened to their bodies? Ancient writers claim the couple was buried together in a tomb or mausoleum in Alexandria. Plutarch wrote that Cleopatra planned their tomb herself, and that Roman Emperor Octavian, later Augustus, permitted their bodies to be buried together with royal honors. Then the trail goes cold. Alexandria suffered earthquakes, tsunamis, and rising sea levels over the centuries, transforming its ancient coastline. Much of the ancient city, including the royal quarter where their tomb would have been located, now lies underwater in Alexandria's harbor. In 2009, archaeologists discovered a massive temple complex called Taposiris Magna outside Alexandria that some believed might contain the lover's tomb, but no definitive evidence emerged. Egyptian archaeologist Kathleen Martinez has spent over 14 years searching for Cleopatra and Antony's tomb, convinced it lies at Taposiris Magna. Her team has found coins bearing Cleopatra's image and a fragment of a royal statue, but the actual burial remains elusive. Others believe their tomb might be submerged beneath Alexandria's eastern harbor, destroyed by natural disasters or looted during ancient times. Unlike other missing tombs, we have a general idea of where to look for Cleopatra and Antony somewhere in or near Alexandria. But the precise location of history's most famous romantic tragedy remains hidden beneath layers of sand, soil, or sea. Number 6. Attila the Hun. What became of the feared scourge of God? Attila the Hun terrorized both Eastern and Western Roman empires before his unexpected death in 453 CE, reportedly from a nosebleed on his wedding night after heavy drinking. His burial, as described by the historian Jordanes, was elaborate and bizarre. According to accounts, Attila's body was placed in 3 coffins: gold, silver, and iron. The grave goods included enemy weapons, precious gems, and various treasures. After the burial, the slaves who dug the grave were killed to keep the location secret. Some accounts suggest his body was buried under a diverted river, similar to Genghis Khan's burial centuries later. Despite numerous attempts, archaeologists have never found Attila's grave. The most promising search areas lie in modern Hungary, near the Tisza River, where his tribal headquarters was believed to be located. In 2014, construction workers in Budapest discovered what seemed to be a royal grave from the right time period, creating excitement, but it proved unrelated to Attila. The problem with finding Attila's tomb is threefold. The Huns left few permanent settlements, historical accounts of his burial are second-hand at best, and the geography of the Hungarian plain has changed significantly over 1,500 years through flooding and human development. Some historians believe the triple coffin story might be mythological, borrowed from earlier burial traditions to enhance Attila's fearsome reputation. If the accounts of river diversion are true, modern methods like ground-penetrating radar might eventually locate the metal coffins beneath Hungarian soil. Until then, the final resting place of the man who brought the Roman Empire to its knees remains as elusive as the nomadic warrior himself. Number 5. Mozart. How could one of history's greatest composers end up in an unmarked grave? Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart died in Vienna in December 1791 at just 35 years old, already recognized as a musical genius. Yet despite his fame, he was buried in a common grave with no monument. This wasn't due to neglect, but rather reflected standard Viennese burial practices under Emperor Joseph II's reforms. To save space, commoners were buried in communal graves that were recycled every 7 to 10 years. Despite Mozart's fame, financial difficulties meant his funeral was third class, with few mourners present on the cold December day. No one recorded the exact location of Mozart's burial in St. Mark's Cemetery. When his widow Constance returned years later to visit, the gravesite had already been reused. In 1855, cemetery staff erected a monument where they thought Mozart might have been buried, but this was just an educated guess. In the 1800s, a gravedigger claimed to have saved Mozart's skull, leading to a skull displayed at the Mozarteum in Salzburg that was supposedly the composer's. DNA testing in 2006 failed to confirm this claim. Today, visitors to St. Mark's Cemetery can see a memorial angel marking the approximate area where Mozart was buried, but his actual remains likely scattered when the grave was reused. The irony is striking. A composer whose music would be played for centuries ended up with no known grave, while a memorial in Vienna's central cemetery contains an empty tomb with his name. Mozart's music filled concert halls while his body disappeared into anonymity, showing how even extraordinary lives can end in ordinary ways. Number 4. Amelia Earhart. What happened to the world's most famous female aviator? Amelia Earhart disappeared over the Pacific Ocean in 1937 during her attempt to circumnavigate the globe, creating one of aviation's greatest mysteries. Her body and aircraft have never been definitively found. The official search in 1937 was the most extensive in naval history at that time. When no trace was found, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan were declared dead in 1939. Since then, dozens of expeditions have searched for evidence across the Pacific. The most scientifically supported theory is that Earhart and Noonan ran out of fuel and crash-landed near Howland Island, their intended refueling stop. The International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery (TIGHAR) has conducted numerous expeditions to Nikumaroro, formerly Gardner Island, where they found tantalizing clues, a piece of aluminum that might match her plane, a jar that resembles her face cream, and even bones that some experts believe could be Earhart's. In 2019, National Geographic led an expedition using submersibles to search the ocean floor near Howland Island. Despite cutting-edge technology, they found no definitive evidence. Another theory suggests Earhart was captured by Japanese forces and died in captivity on Saipan, while others propose she secretly returned to America under a new identity. The most likely scenario is that Earhart's plane sank in the deep waters of the Pacific, making recovery extremely difficult. With ocean depths exceeding 17,000 feet in some search areas, her final resting place might remain forever hidden in one of Earth's most remote regions. Each expedition provides new data, but the mystery of what happened to Amelia Earhart continues to capture our imagination 8 decades later. Number 3. Vlad the Impaler. Where does the real Dracula rest? Vlad III, known as the Impaler for his brutal punishment methods, ruled Wallachia, part of modern Romania, in the 15th century and later inspired Bram Stoker's fictional vampire. His actual burial site, however, remains a mystery. Historical records show Vlad died in battle against Ottoman forces near Bucharest in December 1476. What happened next depends on which accounts you believe. Some sources claim his head was taken to Constantinople as proof of death, while his body was buried at Snagov Monastery, an island church near Bucharest. In 1931, archaeologists opened what was believed to be Vlad's tomb at Snagov, but found it empty except for animal bones. A second grave contained human remains, but no conclusive evidence connecting them to Vlad. Another theory suggests he was buried at Comana Monastery, which he founded, but this site was destroyed and rebuilt in later centuries. Romanian historians have proposed several alternative burial sites, including the monastery at Curtea de Arges, where other Wallachian rulers were entombed. Some scholars believe his body might have been moved multiple times after death, either to protect it from enemies or as part of later reburial ceremonies. The search is complicated by the fact that 15th-century burial practices for Romanian rulers followed Eastern Orthodox traditions where graves were sometimes unmarked by design, representing humility. Additionally, many potential burial sites have been rebuilt, damaged during wars, or altered over 5 centuries. The irony isn't lost on historians. The man whose fictional counterpart gained immortality as an undead vampire has no confirmed grave in the real world. Vlad impaled thousands in life, but in death, he himself vanished from the historical record. Number 2. Mahmud of Ghazni. How did a feared sultan's tomb disappear despite starting in a famous mausoleum? Mahmud of Ghazni, the powerful 11th century ruler who led multiple invasions into India and established a vast empire across Central Asia, was initially buried in a magnificent marble tomb in Ghazni, Afghanistan. For centuries, his mausoleum remained intact, described by travelers as one of the wonders of the Islamic world. The tomb featured gates reportedly taken from the famous Somnath temple during Mahmud's Indian campaigns. Then disaster struck repeatedly. In 1151, about 120 years after Mahmud's death, the rival Ghurid dynasty captured Ghazni and allegedly burned everything except the sultan's tomb. An earthquake later damaged the structure, which was subsequently rebuilt. By the 19th century, British visitors reported Mahmud's sarcophagus was still visible in Ghazni, though damaged. The mystery deepened during Afghanistan's modern conflicts. Mahmud's marble sarcophagus disappeared during the Soviet-Afghan War, 1979 to 1989. Some accounts claim it was destroyed by Soviet forces, while others suggest it was moved to protect it from damage. Competing stories place the actual remains in Pakistan, moved by well-meaning preservationists, or hidden somewhere in Afghanistan. Today, visitors to Ghazni can see a reconstructed mausoleum believed to mark the original site, but it contains only a symbolic cenotaph. The actual location of Mahmud's remains, or whether they still exist at all, remains unknown. Unlike other missing tombs that were lost immediately after burial, Mahmud's tomb was well documented for nearly 1,000 years before disappearing in the chaos of modern warfare. Number 1. Nefertiti. Could ancient Egypt's most beautiful queen be hiding in plain sight? Queen Nefertiti, whose name means the beautiful one has come, ruled alongside Pharaoh Akhenaten in the 14th century BCE. Her iconic limestone bust, discovered in 1912, made her face one of the most recognizable from antiquity. Yet her body has never been definitively found. Nefertiti seemingly vanished from historical records around the 14th year of Akhenaten's 17-year reign. No tomb specifically identified as hers has ever been discovered in the Valley of the Kings or at Amarna, the city her husband built. This absence created one of Egyptology's most enduring mysteries. In 2015, British archaeologist Nicholas Reeves announced a groundbreaking theory based on high-resolution scans of Tutankhamun's tomb. He identified what appeared to be hidden doorways in the north and west walls, potentially leading to a previously undiscovered burial chamber. Reeves proposed this could be Nefertiti's long-lost tomb, suggesting that King Tut was buried in the outer chambers of a larger tomb complex originally built for his stepmother. Subsequent radar scans produced conflicting results. A 2016 Japanese scan suggested hollow spaces, while a 2018 Italian study found no evidence of hidden chambers. In 2020, a new ground-penetrating radar study again suggested possible voids beyond the tomb's walls, reigniting the debate. Alternative theories suggest Nefertiti might be one of the unidentified mummies already found in Egypt. Some scholars believe she could be the elder lady or younger lady found in KV 35, while others propose she might have been buried at Amarna and later moved. The search continues, with each new technology offering fresh possibilities. If Nefertiti does indeed lie behind the walls of Tutankhamun's tomb, it would be the most significant Egyptian archaeological discovery since Howard Carter first peered into the Boy King's burial chamber in 1922. Will we ever know where the most beautiful face of ancient Egypt rests?